Hello and welcome to episode 369 of Uncensored Conservatism. Today we're going to go around the United States and with some stories you may or may not have heard of in the past week, I guess. I've been off. I've been in the beautiful state of Montana, and that's my cat walking behind my screen. Anyway, let's start here in California, which becomes the second state to officially recognize the Indian Festival of Lights, otherwise known as Diwali, as an official holiday. So now Indian Americans out in California, the Durga Indians, not the woo-woo Indians, can now celebrate and not worry about being penalized at work or anything like that. They become the second state after Pennsylvania to officially recognize this Durga Indian festival. And in no surprise, Katie Hobbs, the Democratic governor of Arizona, announced that she is running for re-election in 2026. She will face a difficult battle out there, depending on who the Republicans put up against her. So, Katie Hobbs, she's in. A judge in Idaho has refused to release graphic photos of those four University of Idaho co-eds who were killed by some guy named Koberger. Those graphic photographs of the crime scene will not be released, so sorry, Dateline, you don't get that. The city of St. Petersburg in Florida delayed a vote on whether they are going to remove the rainbow flag intersections and Black Lives Matter murals that dominate the city. Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, recently ordered all of that crap to be taken down. So, all right, so this is Rudolph Martino of Alabama, and he got into the Guinness Book of Records with his 3-foot 6-inch beard after researching Indian and Egyptian cultures. He says that sometimes he has to put the beard inside his shirt lest it get caught indoors. Hawaii, apparently we're celebrating Banned Book Week, but they've changed it to Freedom to Read Week. And about these banned books, conservatives aren't about banning books. We're about making them available to age-appropriate readers. So no more of that transgender crap for kindergarten. And that's basically what banned books are. You can get these books anywhere you want. I mean, if a parent wants to buy that book for their kid or read that book to their kid, they're free to get it wherever they want. It's not like it's been banned, really. And I apologize for the noise in the background. Republicans in Connecticut, they're calling for greater oversight and transparency and earmarks for several spending bills. Most of it is related to COVID and pet projects of Democrats. So we'll see how that goes. Yes, there are some Republicans in Connecticut. Not that many, but there are some. So Roy Lee Edward was executed by the state of Indiana for the 2001 rape and murder of a 15-year-old child. I believe the sister of the child witnessed the rape and murder, called the police, and he was rushing out of the house covered in blood. Kind of obvious on that one. All right, this is William Called Me Sarah McBride, and that's still a dude in Delaware. Chunk the Bear won the Best Fat Bear contest in Alaska despite having a broken jaw. The bear, named Chunk, weighed over 1,200 pounds when he won the contest. So, yay for Chunk. The ACLU in Louisiana has filed a lawsuit against an ICE detention center there, claiming that most of the people housed in the ICE detention center are being charged twice for the same crime. They also allege inhumane conditions at the former Angola prison site in Louisiana. Angola is notorious for its bad conditions as a prison at the time. Talking about unintended consequences. So, Michigan has legalized pot, and now Gretchen Whitmer, their governor, is asking for an additional tax on pot sales, not to help drug addicts or anything like that, but to fix the frickin' roads. So, pot for roads. Judge in Georgia set a November 14th deadline for Fulton County to name a prosecutor against President Donald Trump over alleged 2020 election interference. The prosecutors were asking for more time, and he said, nope, no more time, only got until November 14th. This is in the wake of the disqualification of Fani Willis down there. Kentucky, the state of Kentucky Attorney General is suing Roblox, claiming that they have inadequate parental controls. Apparently, they are claiming that it is a playground for predators, child predators. Well, in Alaska, they celebrate bears, but in Arkansas, they killed them. This is a black bear who apparently mauled a man to death, or so they say. As the man was breaking camp in Arkansas, the bear was seen on a camera on his phone. A similar bear was found on a trail camera, so they killed the poor sucker. Might be a case of mistaken identity. 4 towns in Mississippi are pushing back against the governor down there who wants to have more school choice for children. They're saying, no school choice in our towns. We want to keep the little black kids on the plantation. All right. This is Maine Governor Janet Mills, one of the ugliest women in America in political power, and she all but has announced that she is going to run against Susan Collins for the U.S. Senate. Most of this information comes from anonymous sources close to Mills, but she's pretty much made up her mind. She's just waiting for the government shutdown to end. Ahmed Hassan of Minnesota, there's a surprise, pleaded guilty to wanting to join the terrorist group ISIS. He previously had social media posts praising the guy who took out all those people down in New Orleans on New Year's Eve this past year. He also tried to make 2 trips to Somalia from Minnesota that were worth it. All right, Nebraska, sorry, you're just boring. And in Rhode Island, it's been announced that Sheldon Whitehouse, shown here, is still a big dickhead. All right, well, Leela's Hair Museum in Independence, Missouri is closing after several years. It allegedly holds hair wreaths belonging to several celebrities, including Marilyn Monroe and even Jesus Christ. Last year, the owner died, Leela, and her daughter is now auctioning off all the remaining hairs, and the place is going to fold. The biggest coal sale in Montana was recently held. Navajo are offering $186,000 for 160 million tons of the coal. It was the only bid received. This amounts to less than 1/10 of a penny per ton of gold. Anyway, the Bureau of Land Management says they haven't made a decision on whether to accept the bid. The New Jersey governor's debate between Jack Ciattarella on the left there, he's a Republican, and Mikey Sherrill on the right, ended up as a clash of ideas over the government shutdown and President Donald Trump. This is a very close race. Jack Ciattarella almost defeated Squirrel-Faced Murphy 4 years ago, and maybe New Jersey will get a Republican governor. Just be careful here with him. In New Hampshire, State Supreme Court Justice Anna Barbara Marconi, shown here, she accepted a plea deal. Apparently, she interfered in an investigation of her husband on the right, who was head of the ports and something else in New Hampshire. She pled guilty to a misdemeanor instead of the 2 felonies against her. I guess she's going to quit the high court there in New Hampshire. The El Cortez, the oldest hotel in Las Vegas, Nevada, they're offering a lucky somebody, they'll give them ghost hunting equipment, to spend a weekend for free in the El Cortez Hotel and prove that it is either haunted or not haunted. So they're going to win a $5,000 prize one way or the other. Holtec of New Jersey, a major company, says they have dropped plans to store nuclear waste, spent fuel rods, in New Mexico. Instead, they're going to concentrate on working in other states more amenable to storing spent nuclear rods. Listen, in France, they recycle spent nuclear rods. They get as much material out of it as they can, and several cities outbid one another to have these sites. And I don't understand why the United States can't do that also. Common sense here, a North Dakota judge upheld their law banning gender-affirming care for transgender minors, citing a previous U.S. Supreme Court decision out of Tennessee, the Skermetti decision. So, yay for common sense there. Oklahoma governor, who's chair of the National Governors Association, Kevin Stitt, says that the National Guard of a state should not be used in a state that does not want them. So like Trump right now is using National Guard troops from, let's just say it's in Chicago. Normally you would use National Guard troops from Illinois, but you got a dickhead governor there named Pritzker who won't allow that. So he's been bringing in National Guard troops from other states to do this. Stitt is against that policy. And this is one you may have heard of. Talk about karma. New York Attorney General Letitia James has been indicted for mortgage fraud. And this is kind of controversial because it says that Trump is going after his political opponents, but you know, you commit mortgage fraud, you get indicted for it. All right, this is Cecil Brockman, and he's a member of the North Carolina State House of Representatives. Democrats are calling for his immediate resignation after he was indicted for having sex with a 15-year-old, or apparently having some kind of sexual interaction with a 15-year-old. By the way, Mr. Brockman is 41 years old, so ew. The Texas Republicans are considering censoring fellow Republicans who are not conservative enough, according to them, and they will be banned from the primary ballots in 2026. This will only apply to state-level politicians. Pennsylvania police briefed reporters on a gunfight that occurred after a chase. 2 officers were wounded and the suspect was shot dead. He was suspected of a high-profile theft and then ran away from the cops. So, in Vermont, Bernie Sanders is still alive. South Carolina officials said at this point there is no arson believed to be in the home of a judge down there in South Carolina. She recently ruled against a release of voter data to the Justice Department investigating voter fraud in South Carolina. Some thought that it was some conservative went to her home and set it on fire, but now the officials are saying there's absolutely no sign of arson. Democratic Wisconsin Attorney General Josh Cole announced that he will not run for governor, but will seek re-election as Attorney General of Wisconsin. He recently challenged an abortion ban dating to the 1800s and investigated Trump for interference in the 2020 election in Wisconsin. The Tennessee National Guard is in Memphis to help with ICE and law and order over there, law enforcement in Memphis, which is actually a kind of a violent city. But this is the Tennessee National Guard in Memphis. It's in Tennessee, so Governor Stitt of Oklahoma has no bitching to do here. Several officials in Wyoming recently, got into some heated argument after the state passed legislation that would ban gun-free zones. Okay, so when you ride by schools and it says it's a gun-free zone within 200 feet of the school, what a fucking invitation for somebody with a gun. If it's a gun-free zone, then there's no guns. There's somebody with a gun who is going to commit some heinous crime near a school or a church or what have you. They're going to do it. The sign doesn't chase them away. And I think Wyoming's ban on these signs is just freaking common sense, folks. Come on. And finally, this is Francine, a calico cat who occupied a Lowe's store in Richmond, Virginia. Well, Francine went missing, but thankfully, Francine has been found and returned to the Lowe's store and is greeting customers after she decided to go hitchhiking on a delivery truck and ended up in North Carolina. Thankfully, the cat had a collar on, and the Lowe's store in Richmond, Virginia was contacted. Somebody went down there to North Carolina and picked up this little kitty cat. Isn't that great news? Anyway, that's it for today. Thanks. Have a great day and a more pleasant tomorrow.